Good evening, European Confessions. I am back with another episode. There is a message that I want to share with you guys, and the message reads like this. Hello, how are you? Can you please post for me? There is a story that I want to share with you. Can you please hide my identity? I am a 45-year-old man, and I have come here on your platform so that I can confess everything that I did. What happened to me is that in the country where I come from, there is no such thing as a taxi association. Sometimes it is good, sometimes it can be bad. The reason why it can be bad, it is because if there is no taxi associations, it means that there is no one who can control, anyone can do anything that they want with their taxi. This then resulted in many taxi owners not having permits for the routes in which they will be operating their taxis in. So in the route in which I was operating in, when I started with this business, I had an operating license to be transporting people from town and going with them to the locations. So simply because there was no taxi association that could control the movement of taxis, I found myself in a position whereby I was now in competition with a lot of taxi owners. I tried so hard to work, but I then saw that there was no way I was going with this business. Now, because I was operating at a loss, sometimes I would actually go to town with only one person in my taxi because there was so much competition. I even tried to pray about it, but still there was no answer. That is when I spoke with this other guy who was also into this taxi business. That is when he told me that with all the competition that was happening between the taxi owners and the drivers and everything, I had to find someone who can help me to strengthen my business. He was suggesting that I had to pay a visit at this certain witch doctor who was known in our area that he had a lot of powers. So I planned and I organized the money because that witch doctor, people knew that he was charging a lot of money. The person that I had spoken with, he told me that when I am going to visit this powerful witch doctor, I had to try at least to have something like 4 or 3 cows. That was the amount that he was charging for his consultation, and people were going at his place. There were actually long queues at his place, and mostly rich people were going to consult with him because everyone was just talking about his powers and how powerful he was. The most thing that he knew was to strengthen people's businesses. So I went to that witch doctor's place, and when I went in to consult with him, then I gave him the money that was equivalent to 3 cows. That is when they allowed me to enter into his consulting room. When I went into his consulting room, that is when a ritual was performed on me, and also a ritual was performed on the car that I was using as a taxi so that it can get a lot of customers. Then I left. When I returned back home, there was another ritual again that I had to do. That witch doctor gave me something that was inside a small bottle, and he told me that I had to bury that small bottle at the back of my yard, and I had to do it whilst it was in the evening. And he told me that when I'll be doing that, I should make sure that not even my wife or my kids will see me. After I had done that, I went back to consult with that witch doctor. That is when he gave me 4 stones. The stones that he gave me, they looked as if they were emeralds because they were green in color. They were actually small stones. He gave me those stones, and he told me that I had to go into the forest or in a bushy area where people don't usually walk, and I had to do it at night. He said to me that if I have arrived in that bushy area or in the forest where people don't usually walk around, I had to choose a spot. Let's say if I start in the direction facing south, he said that as soon as the sun has gone down, I had to go into the bushy area or in the forest where people don't usually walk. So when the sun had gone down, I went into the forest and I did as that witch doctor had told me to do. He told me that the first stone I had to bury it whilst I will be facing the direction in which the sun comes up, like in the east. After I had done that, I had to bury the second stone whilst facing in the direction where the sun goes down. After burying the green stone in the west, I had to go to the south, then bury the third stone. Finally, I had to bury the fourth green stone in the northern direction. That is what I did. All of this, my brother, I did it whilst I was naked. After I had done all of these rituals, I then went back home. I started using my car, the one that I was using as a taxi. When I went back on the road using my car as a taxi, that is when I realized that people were actually preferring to wait for my car. Even if people see that my taxi will be fully loaded up, they would actually prefer that I overload them. That is when the trouble started. My business then started to go very well as per my expectations. That witch doctor had told me that if I had seen that everything was going on in my life, I had to return back to him so that I can consult with him so that he can strengthen my powers even more. But you know how life is. The moment that I started getting a lot of money, there were other things that I needed to fix. I had a home to build, and I had children that I had to take to good schools because I wanted my children to end up maybe working overseas. So my first priority was taking my kids to good schools, private schools. The other thing was that now that I was making money, I don't know if it was pressure from my wife or maybe the pressure that was from my wife's relatives, my in-laws. They started demanding that I had to return back to her people so that I can finish up her bride price. Because of poverty, I had not yet gone back with the rest of the amount that was left when I had paid for her bride price. So that was my second priority. After that, me and my wife, we started building up our beautiful house. And I had forgotten about that witch doctor. That witch doctor had told me that if everything was going well in my life, I had to return back with him with money maybe that would be equivalent to 10 or 12 cows. Yes, the money was there, but I had other things to do. So I had to settle all of my loans with the people that I was owing, like my mechanics and other people that I was owing. After that, I bought about 6 other cars on top of the one that I had. All of them were on the road in different routes. Now, because I had done those rituals, if any of my taxis will not be on the road, some people would actually reject getting into other taxis. This is what caused tension between me and other taxi operators. From there on, I started to have pains in my legs. When I saw that I was having pains in my legs, that is when I went back to that witch doctor so that I can consult with him again. He told me that simply because I had not returned back to him in time, he was now going to punish me and he wanted double the amount that he had charged me previously. Instead of giving him 10 to 12 cows, he said that he now wanted at least 30 cows, and he didn't want the cows like physically, it had to be money, and that is a lot of money, 20 to 30 cows. And he told me that on the 30 cows that he wanted now, I had to take money that was equivalent to 5 cows and I had to go and throw that money into the river. The reason why I had received such a punishment to go and throw away money in the river, it was because I had disobeyed and I had gone against the wishes of his oracle. That is the reason why I had to pay. When I told him that I can try to work, but for now, at least if he can heal me, because I couldn't walk at that time, he told me that there was no way that he could heal me, because if he tried to assist me, he would be actually going against the oracle, and he didn't want to be on the bad side of his oracle. So I left. I then tried to go and look for another prophet, this white garment prophet. When I went to those prophets, that is when I was told that I had been poisoned. So that white garment prophet told me that it was because of poison. Someone had poisoned me, like another taxi owner who was in direct competition with me. He was the one who had done a ritual, like they had used poison, and in my legs there was a little bit of poison. He then suggested that we do something called a dangerous prayer, or a go back to sender prayer, so that the poison can go back to the owner. And I agreed. Then that white garment prophet did a dangerous prayer, and in no time I heard the news that this other guy, who was also a taxi operator who was in direct competition with me, he had suddenly died. I thought that everything was going to be okay, and I had promised myself that when I get the money, I was going to go back to that witch doctor so that I can repay him the money that he claimed I was owing him. But unfortunately, the reason why I had approached that lady who is that other platform whereby she shares the confessions, it was because I was looking for help. I am still looking for help. The problem that I am facing right now is that there are times whereby if I am sleeping, suddenly I can just see a ghost in my room. Then that ghost, it can just stay there staring at me maybe for 5 to 10 seconds. Then it will just disappear. Maybe I am just going crazy. I don't know. I don't know if there is anyone who is willing to assist me. Please, I beg you, my brother, you can try to assist me. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was forwarded to me by one of our translators. Please let us talk about this issue in the comment section. Tell me what you think about this story. He was told by the traditional healer that he had to go and throw money in the river so that the oracle can start helping him again. He told me that he is now afraid of going ahead with the ritual. Please let us try to speak with him in the comment section. I'll be back with another episode.